Everyone thought the will was lost. That's what they kept saying. Lost. Burned. Destroyed. But I never said that. The day after my father's funeral, my sister stood in the living room holding an empty folder and cried louder than anyone. She told the family, "Dad never finished the will. There's nothing left to divide." Something in her voice felt wrong. For years, my father had promised me he would protect what little he had saved. Not because I was his favorite, but because I was the only one who stayed when he became sick. I fed him. I bathed him. I listened to his fears at night. And now suddenly, the will had disappeared. Relatives filled the house, whispering. Some looked at me with pity. Others with suspicion. My sister avoided my eyes completely. That night, as everyone slept, I sat alone in my childhood bedroom, staring at the ceiling, replaying my father's last words in my mind. Don't trust anyone, keep it safe. I reached into the lining of my old suitcase, the one I had never unpacked since the hospital days. My hands shook as I felt the folded envelope still hidden there. The original will. I didn't tell anyone. Because I knew. If I revealed it too soon, I would lose everything. The house was sold within weeks. My sister acted like the hero of the family, handling arrangements while quietly taking control of all the money. She told everyone she was being generous by letting me keep my old bedroom furniture. I watched strangers walk through our home, touching the walls my father once leaned on. The piano he loved was carried out like it meant nothing. At family gatherings, I became invisible. They spoke over me. They spoke for me. She didn't get anything, my aunt said once, loud enough for me to hear. Poor girl. Poor girl. They thought I was broken. Defeated. Empty-handed. But every night, I opened that envelope in secret and read my father's handwriting again and again. He had left the house to me. The savings to me. His final words were written clearly. You were my strength. I wanted to scream the truth. I wanted to stand up and expose the lie. But I waited. Because betrayal doesn't end with noise. It ends with silence and proof. A year passed. I rented a tiny apartment and worked 2 jobs. People thought I was struggling. They didn't know I was preparing. Every holiday, my sister posted photos in my father's house. New curtains. New furniture. A new life built on something that was never hers. Sometimes I cried in the shower where no one could hear me. Not because of the money, but because of the disrespect. I remembered how she had rarely visited him. How she only came when the doctors said it was the end. Yet she walked freely through the home he left behind. The will stayed hidden in a fireproof box under my bed. I treated it like a living thing. Like a promise I had to protect. And slowly, the anger turned into calm. I wasn't waiting for revenge. I was waiting for the right moment. The moment came at a family reunion. Everyone was there. My sister stood proudly at the head of the table, talking about how she handled everything after Dad's death. I listened quietly. Then she said something that broke me. He never trusted her enough to leave her anything. The room fell silent. My heart beat so loud I thought they could hear it. I stood up slowly. I need to show you something, I said. My hands trembled as I pulled the envelope from my bag. My sister's face went pale. This is the original will, I whispered. Gasps filled the room. I placed it on the table and opened it. My father's signature stared back at them like a ghost. No one spoke. My aunt covered her mouth. My uncle leaned closer to read the words again. My sister shook her head. That's fake, she said weakly. But it wasn't. The lawyer confirmed it days later. Everything my father had written was real. Everything she had claimed was a lie. She cried. She begged. She said she was afraid to be alone. She said she didn't mean to hurt me. But betrayal doesn't disappear with excuses. The house had to be returned to me. The money too. For the first time, the family looked at me differently. Not as the weak one, but as the one who kept the truth alive. When I finally walked back into my father's house, it felt like stepping into a memory instead of a building. The rooms were quiet, but not empty. Every wall still carried his voice. Every window still held his light. I moved slowly, touching the table where he used to drink his tea, the chair where he would sit and watch the sunset, the doorway where he once told me, "You'll be okay when I'm gone." I thought I would feel victorious. I thought I would feel powerful. But what I felt was something softer. Relief. Not because I got the house back, but because the truth had finally been spoken. For a long time, I had been treated like the weak one. The quiet one. The one who didn't matter. People assumed I had lost everything. But standing there alone, I realized I had never lost what truly mattered. I had kept my father's trust. I had kept my dignity. And I had kept my promise. I cleaned the dust from the shelves and opened the windows wide. Fresh air filled the rooms. I planted flowers in the yard the way he used to, one by one, slowly, carefully. Neighbors waved at me again. Some apologized for believing the lies. Others stayed silent. I didn't need their words. Because for the first time since his death, I could breathe without carrying anger in my chest. My sister had moved away. We no longer spoke. And strangely, the silence between us felt kinder than the lies she once told. That house was no longer a battlefield. It became a place of healing. And I understood something important. The will didn't just give me property. It gave me my voice back. Everyone thought the will was lost. But what was really lost was honesty. And what was finally found was the truth. I didn't expose my sister with anger. I didn't shout. I didn't fight. I waited. Because sometimes strength doesn't look like revenge. Sometimes it looks like patience. Like silence. Like holding on to proof while the world doubts you. There were days I felt invisible. Days I felt forgotten. Days I almost gave up. But my father's words stayed with me. Keep it safe. And I did. Not just the paper, but the meaning behind it. If you are listening to this and you feel ignored, betrayed, or pushed aside, remember this. You don't need to prove yourself with noise. You don't need to rush your truth. The truth has its own time. And when it comes out, it changes everything. Sometimes justice doesn't arrive loudly. Sometimes it arrives quietly. And gives you peace instead of applause. And that peace is the greatest inheritance of all. Thank you for being here. If this story touched you, you can gently tap like and subscribe.